France, where we have the fourth United Nations conference on financing for development right there happening right now. And we know that the French president, that is Emmanuel Macron, is actually engaging thought leaders as regards of the way forward for the United Nations. So let's join now and get some details from the discuss.
It was part of what you raised, William, and I want to commend you on that. It's part of the G20 agenda of South Africa, and Gustavo mentioned it as well, that it's how to make the cost of capital lower in this country. Of guarantees, first losses to be held by the World Bank, held by IMF, by reform of the debt agenda, because in a lot of these countries there are no capacity to have some investments because of the debt situation. And the G20 framework is fair. We have to accelerate the delivery. We did it with Zambia, with Chad now, and we are working very hard on Ethiopia, and we have to follow up this agenda. It's a very important one. Important as well to reform and simplify the regulations of our financial players. We created ourselves in the same fora where we were saying, let's work for climate, let's do more for development. We built the same regulations to kill the financing of our own banks in Africa, in Oceania, and Latin America. And I speak for myself. Look at the French banks. They totally disappeared from the African continent because of the regulations we created ourselves with some good motivations, but we did it. So we are totally crazy. So we have to modernize that, and it's part of the G20 agenda, and I will follow up this agenda in our G7 because I think it's critical. And the last point is trade. And I have to tell you what we are doing with trade. And the two main guilty guys are China and the US. The two big guys are these ones. 25 years ago, we made a bet. We said China is welcome in the club to respect the global order, and they should join WTO. They were not compliant. And instead of increasing the pressure, and not just this president, because let's be clear, Inflation Reduction Act is a Democrat agenda, but they decided to withdraw from WTO. So now, neither China nor the US are compliant with WTO. And now a lot of people in the room are starting to say, WTO is not so much meaningful. And now we have the tariff. But the tariff is just a killer for poor and emerging countries. And look at the tariff being put on Vietnam, on Madagascar with 40% and so on. So let's be clear, we are killing with the pretext of rebalancing trade in this world, where in fact the main imbalances are between China and US. We are just killing the emerging and developing countries. This is unacceptable, and this is honestly one of the main scandals of this agenda. It's not just us being afraid with this agenda and being complacent, and let's be honest with us. What did we start to do? Abandoning the first global taxation we started to build. Pillar 2 is over because of the revenge tax decided by the US, and they will follow up. So if there is no big wake-up call to say just the trade order is good for everybody, because just this is not the Wild West. Because if you want development agenda, you need a fair trade. We will just work. So WTO agenda is to make it totally consistent with development and climate. And this is why it's now one of the key focus of our 4Ps agenda. But I will stop here. But my point was to say, the 70 is an enormous resource, because it's to make concrete actions, to work all together in the different international fora in order to deliver concrete results on our roadmap, but to work collectively as well to improve our efficiency and our agenda to deliver concrete programs on the ground with the different countries and to reunify the global order. Because the main risk is this big divide. Thank you very much. And I want to thank the team and the volunteers being here, because it's super important in that times to have young people being engaged and with this hope to change the world. So I want to thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think from the point of view of the WTO, one thing I want to say is we may not like the methodologies for solving the problems that the US took. But like you said, we must accept what doesn't work and the criticisms, and then we must fix it. So we have to look at unfair trading practices, level playing field issues, the complaints of developing countries about not being so included, the need for policy space for them to create jobs. And that's exactly what we've started doing at the WTO, and we will need this passion of yours. You know, the thing is that the members you spoke about are still there at the WTO, and they're still playing a big role. And critical that we seize this opportunity. I sense an opening. I sense an opening for us to really correct the problem. So I think we should seize them, and we are trying to do that. Merci.
Bueno, dado el tiempo, yo tengo una visión mucho más crítica de las circunstancias y me asusta un poco la manera como en el mundo se están abordando los problemas.
And so we have the current head of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, and of course the French President Emmanuel Macron, including other thought leaders representing other regions and other global institutions, talking about trade and how to build the climate financing platform to tackle climate change, and of course the need to balance trade and the role big powers like the US and China have played and should continue to play to rally round if they hope to actually ensure that trade globally is balanced and favorable to all. And that has been the march of the talk at the 4th United Nations Conference on Financing, Development and Growth, currently holding in France. And that is one event that we will continue to put our eyes on to bring you more details for you.